Hello and welcome to the Hokkaido Championships in OP09. This is Wave 2 of the Hokkaido Championships. My name is Jake. Welcome on into the channel. We are going to be watching the championship final of this tournament. It's been a cool tournament so far. We've seen some interesting decks. But the final of Doflamingo versus Teach is one that I think a lot of people are interested to see how this matchup goes, right? Doflamingo being the deck to beat right now in OP09 versus Marshall D. Teach, negating on play abilities, which is primarily what Doflamingo uses in a lot of its important key characters. It's going to be exciting to see this one go off, but before we go, I've got a couple things that I want to say. First of all, I am watching the official live stream. If you want to watch the live stream yourself, maybe don't want to hear me yap, feel free to click in the comments below. I've got the official live stream there for you if you don't want to hear me talk. But also, don't go anywhere because there is a special giveaway happening being announced right now on the channel. My sponsor, for anyone who does not know, LA Gaming TCG, they're looking to do an OP09 booster box giveaway. So you want to get in on that giveaway, make sure to join in the description below in our Discord server. In there is going to have the rules of entry. It's very simple. All you got to do is follow LA Gaming on social media. So I'm also going to be pulling a second winner as well because they actually sent me a 10% off coupon in one of the care packages that they usually sent me. And so I figured, why not have two winners? So again, if you want a chance for 10% off of your next purchase at LA Gaming, or maybe a free OP09 booster box for the upcoming set out in the West, make sure to again join in the link in the description below. But looking at Doflamingo's hand right now, right? Doflamingo's got a couple Sengokus to find some key pieces. They've also got a Trafalgar Law. That's the 2K Trafalgar Law alternate art, not the one that came in the starter deck. Also a Dracul Mihawk to round out, you know, the kind of 7 Warlord key cards. The other card, the 5th card, the one in the very middle, is Jozu there. Jozu being a very good card and really a trend that we've seen in the last couple of weeks be included in Doflamingo decks, whether that's the East or the West. People really, really like that card, and I like that card too in the deck. So an interesting hand for the Doflamingo. The Blackbeard has a couple different cards, has the Von Arger in there, also got a 2K stronger, the Jesus Burgess in the hand as well. Got the pronunciation of that one. You've got the Vasco Shant, that nice 2-cost blocker, and then a Doc Q as well to be able to KO some characters. So not a bad hand, I would say. The only thing I think that's really missing in this hand is searcher options for cards in this one. We saw in a couple of the different previous Blackbeard videos here on the channel in OP09 how important the searching was for the deck and kind of card filtering, card cycling as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Marshall D. Teach navigates in this one, especially, you know, because they don't have a whole bunch of hand gaining, hand filtering, things like that to be able to use against the Doflamingo. But I would imagine that the leader effect on the Marshall D. Teach is going to be very huge in negating all of the on-play abilities. We're going into this one, starting off Doflamingo going first is going to play that Sengoku. Sengoku, great. Looking for 7 Warlords of the Sea type cards. So we see an Edward Weevil in the hand right here. Going to be a nice card to add, especially if you find a Jinbei here soon. And they'll pass off the turn off to the Blackbeard. So now Blackbeard going in, they draw for turn. Might just see the Vasco shot be played down right now, and it looks like it's actually going to be the Doc Q. The Doc Q is going to be really nice because with that activate main resting him, because he's a Blackbeard Pirates type character, he'll KO one of the opponent's characters with a cost of 1 or less. So got to KO that Sengoku, you know, prevent it from swinging, and then using the leader effect at the very end of turn, pitching the stronger. Interesting pitching a 2K there. One thing that's going to be nice about pitching a card off of the leader effect here is if Doflamingo decides to use the leader effect, which they could on this turn, it looks like they're going to swing 7. What they're going to be able to do is at least get a body on the field potentially, and revealing a Jozu, one of the very, very few cards that Doflamingo actually whiffs on the top in terms of looking through the leader effect. So it definitely feels bad. You want to swarm the board against Blackbeard, right? Even if you don't get that on play ability, you definitely want to be hitting. And so after taking that life, the Blackbeard's going to go ahead, swing 5, doesn't want to give anything up, so is going to take the life, and then the Jesus of Burgess is going to be played on the field through 4, and then going ahead, pitching the liberation with that leader effect. Just once again, like I mentioned, just going to be spamming the leader effect. Did find, I believe, off of the life or the top deck, find the 10-drop Blackbeard, which is going to be good when this game goes long, as we're already in the 5 dawn turn. But gonna have to think a little bit about what you want to do, and so gonna start off swinging 6, going to take that life, add it to hand, and the 4 is going to put down that Edward Weevil. Now that Edward Weevil doesn't get the on play draw 1 card because the Marshall D Teach leader effect is currently in effect. So if you're wondering why he didn't draw, that's exactly why. Going into now 6 dawn for the Blackbeard is going to start off by swinging 6 at the leader. A nice 2k counter is going to be given right there. Maybe just try to play the Von Arger right now, and the Von Arger is going to combo well with that Doc Q. So really getting punished, that Doflamingo, on not swinging at the Doc Q earlier with that 7,000 power swing we saw on their 3 dawn turn, and instead going at life. The Von Arger, if you do not know, has that activate main. It rests itself, and then if your leader is a Blackbeard pirate, up to one of your opponent's characters gets -3 cost, so that Weevil going down to 1 is perfect for that Doc Q to use that activate main, rest, and KO effect. So now going ahead with the Jesus Burgess is just going to be swinging a plain 5. That Burgess does get 1,000 power for every 4 cards in the trash. We only have 2 right now, but that 5,000 power swing is going to be able to get the Jozu a nice 1k counter at least, and dwindle the hand down a little bit. Now the Doflamingo, after the Blackbeard, once again for the 3rd straight turn, spams this leader effect. The Doflamingo is at a really interesting situation, right? I don't think they have any cards in their deck. At least I do have deck lists here for you. There's only 1 card, I believe, or 2 of them, that are not an on play ability in this deck, that being the Marshall D Teach and also the 2k Dracul Mihawk, that Mihawk having the when attacking. So it's going to be really difficult to be able to get extra effects, right? These Jozus that you've got in your hand are not going to be able to bounce back any of these characters because, 1, you don't have any other characters on the field, but 2, you can't use that bounce back effect of the Jozu, and so you can't even search with the Sengoku at this point right now. You can't restack with the Boa Hancock. So really looks like Blackbeard really putting up the advantage right now. It seems like it's going to be up to Doflamingo to potentially just do blind flips and hope for the best. Do a blind flip, play down a 4-cost character from the top of your deck, and then use the rest of the dawn to play down another 4-cost character. May seem like the play at this point, and we'll see who exactly he decides to swing at with this swing. Could swing at the Van Arger, right? You would imagine that as Blackbeard continuously uses counter or uses events through the leader effect, might not have a ton of counter in hand. So we saw on that blind flip Charlotte Pudding just again getting so unlucky, and that 7k swing was actually at the Jesus Burgess. So very nice to be able to knock that out. But now at this point, you know, whatever character you put down with the rest of your dawn is just going to get knocked out. But one of the reasons that you would want to do this anyway, right? Edward Weevil is a prime example. It's a dead card in your hand, right? No counter, but it causes this Von Arger to not be able to swing, right? You have to rest that Von Arger, and so now all you have to do is just worry about the leader effect swing. So that leader is swinging 7,000 power. You got to think about it. If you want to pitch a 2k and a 1k, is going to take this one, and it is going to be, what is that? Is that a crocodile? A Charlotte Pudding. So is going to go ahead and play both a Vasco shot and the Burgess right there. The Vasco shot, I believe the name is a newer name for me in terms of the Blackbeard matchup. I haven't had to say it too many times so far. The Vasco shot is going to be a really nice addition, especially if they try to get rid of the Von Auger right now, the Von Augur is going to really have good defense, right? You have no counter in hand with these back-to-back 10-drop Blackbeards, but one thing that you will be able to do is keep them safe, right? You know that there's not going to be any bounce back effects because you keep using that leader effect, right? And so it's going to be... Your characters are just going to survive. The Blackbeard is having a really dominant position right now. We're seeing the leader effect come in full swing, really just stopping a lot of these decks that are built around on-play abilities, which in my opinion are broken right now and are very prevalent in the One Piece trading card game. A real big reason why this leader was made and printed, right? Floodgate being very common of an archetype to come in at card games to, you know, combat power creep. But the Doflamingo still has the leader effect for now and is going to go ahead and use that and get the Boa Hancock. Not going to be able to do any restacking or Dawn effects, right, with that on playability, because no characters do have on playability for the Boa or for the Doflamingo. But is going to think about playing another character, and looks like they're going to go ahead and play the Jozu. I do like the Jozu play right here, because this really prevents, at this point, if you played a 4-drop character like the Dracula Mihawk or the other Boa Hancock in your hand, one thing that could happen is you could swing the Jesus Burgess right at the one Boa Hancock, right? Potentially take a knockout or swing leader into that Boa Hancock, and then you could just go ahead and use the Von Augur and also the Doc Q to take out the other one, right? So you can clear bodies in a single turn. With the Jozu, at least, your opponent has to do a little bit more cost minusing to do. But with that Jack that they have in the hand now, if they use the Von Augur to minus the Jozu, you're going to be able to use the Jack and play that on field to be able to take that KO, but opts to use it on the Boa Hancock. Just says, you know what, I'm going to guarantee clear one body at a time and kind of rush you down. I don't want you to have blockers on the field. I just want to keep pressuring life. And so is going to start out swinging 6 with the Jesus Burgess and then 5 with the Marshall D Teach Leader. Did counter out of the Burgess swing and is going to counter out of the Charlotte Pudding as well. And with that 10 Dawn, already at 10 Dawn, is going to play that Blackbeard down, and that Blackbeard going to be so nice in this matchup, especially as keeping the Jozu alive, because the Jozu now, with that Blackbeard effect being a 12,000 power blocker and that activate main of negating a leader's effect, but also a character's effect, and then their ability to attack, this Jozu's not going to be able to swing. So if you're the Blackbeard right now, you have done an insane job at this point, countering the Doflamingo and guaranteeing only one swing coming at you per turn. That's why we've seen a lot of life taken from this Blackbeard, right? Not a lot of blocking, not a lot of countering, right? Just saving the cards in hand to be able to use for this leader effect to pretty much use it every single turn. It's absolutely disgusting in my opinion right here. So really tough spot for the Doflamingo now. Not only do you not have leader effect, to be able to spam out a character, right, cheat somebody out, but on top of that, you don't have on play effects, right, and you can't swing with this Jozu. So all you can do really is swing with your leader and play down different characters. Really crazy to see this matchup. This is the first time that I'm actually seeing this matchup. This is the first time they've shown this matchup in the Japan tournaments, I believe, up to this point, and it's actually wild to see. I mean, it is pretty good that you started out with the Von Augur and also the Doc Q, right? A really good combination against the Doflamingo, but then also getting a couple Jesus Burgess, you know, double Blackbeard, 10 drops, just so good in general. I don't know if you get the actual ability, unless I was mistaken and maybe they didn't use the effect. Maybe they didn't go ahead and do it, but I thought maybe you wouldn't be able to use the Doflamingo ability. Maybe I was mistaken on that. That's my apology. But is going to use that leader effect to play the Marshall D Teach and then use the rest of the Dawn, the 7, to play Sengoku, play the Jozu as well, just get another body down on the field. So is going to go ahead in this turn now. You've got 5 full bodies on the field. And so now you're at an interesting point as the Blackbeard. Do you play the other 10-drop Blackbeard, right? It is a insanely good card, right? You could just play it over the Vasco shot and no problems whatsoever. Maybe could have thought about blocking with the Vasco shot to free up a spot, but is going to go ahead and use that dot Q first to take that knockout, guarantee the knockouts everywhere. And going in with the Von Auger right here, I think swinging 6 there. I think that was an attack and not necessarily a -3 effect. So the Doflamingo is going to have to think about the swings that are coming in and how they want to counter outside of this. Is going to take the life from that 7. It's going to be a Trafalgar Law, so I believe that's that 2K Trafalgar Law, that alternate art. So that's nice, at least for you to be able to have counter in your hand, and is going to play over that dot Q, going to get that Blackbeard, is going to tell that Jozu that it can't attack, and go ahead and after using the leader effect, get that 8th card in trash, is going to swing a 7,000 power Jesus Burgess. So great sequencing from this Blackbeard right now, and then swinging with that Blackbeard blocker is going to put the Doflamingo down to 1 life. Only 2 potential swings coming in for this Doflamingo, and so definitely going to have to play the Boa, I think, in this turn. And also, oh, do you even play the Jinbei? Like, it's 1 more counter in hand, but the swings that you've got on field that are coming at you, right? A 7,000 power Burgess, a 6,000 power Von Auger, and then 2 12K Blackbeards. And we haven't even talked about the leader yet being able to swing. It's just so tough at this point if you're the Doflamingo right now. I think the writing is on the wall. Absolutely dominated. But that's why Doflamingo is a strong deck right now, and that's why we saw Doflamingo take 4 of the top 16 spots in this tournament. Its highest result overall, its highest population, I believe, in a top 16 of a Japan championship up to this point. And it's a big reason why is because of this matchup right here. So gonna start off by swinging 5 and a nice block from the Blackbeard. Is going to attach a ton of Dawn and swing at that Blackbeard, and that Vasco shot is just going to block right there and play the Boa blocker for the rest of the Dawn and just pass the turn off. So you at least got rid of the Vasco shot, right? You got rid of that little blocker, but it's going to be tough for you at this point, because I think what the Blackbeard is going to do now is just go ahead and swing out. You've got 2 12K swings that are absolutely free. Going to start off with a 7K from the Jesus Burgess, and is going to be a 2K 1K counter to go to 8. And so now going to be swinging 7 with the Von Auger, is going to take that life. Going to swing 12, and he says, you know what, I'll just let you have it. I don't have enough to get out of this, even with 1 blocker. And just like that, the Blackbeard is the champion of the Hokkaido Wave 2 series. A crazy, crazy showcase. Really, if you weren't sold on Blackbeard from my other videos on the channel, this might have sold it to you. Just look at that. I mean, how long did we record? That was 18 minutes. It's not the shortest recording we've ever had, but definitely for a championship final, I think is one of the more dominant ones that we've seen. And as promised, let's go over some deck lists. If you like what we do on the channel and maybe you want to support a little bit more, feel free to go to my homepage and hit the join button, right? Channel memberships are now available for people who want to join and become a riffle shuffler. That's what I'm calling all of my members. If you become a member, you get not only non-championship videos a day early, right, compared to everyone else, but also what you can get is a nice thank you at the end of the video. I'll start having them at the end of the videos. It'll have your YouTube name, right, whatever your name is on YouTube, whether that's, you know, your channel name or whatever you have your name listed as, will be a nice little thank you at the end. But I know while you're all still here, you really just want to see the deck list. So thank you again all for your support, no matter how you do it. And let's look at what these lists were. So we'll look at the losing list first, the Doflamingo. This is the official Doflamingo that the player used in this tournament, right? Not a ton of surprises that I would say in here. We see the Marshall D Teach, which has definitely trended upward in the last couple weeks. I know it's been a conversation point for a lot of people. Jozu as well being a 4 of in this deck, and a lot of the traditional cards that we know and see. I mean, really with Doflamingo, there's like 55 to 60 cards in the pool of what you play in this deck, and it really is all about what kind of text do you want and what ratios do you really want. That's what this comes down to a lot of times. Like this player using 2 Peronas, right? Perona is something, especially with the addition of Buggy, that we don't see a ton of anymore, especially with the impact of Boa Hancock as well, being able to reorder. Just people not really seeing as much value as Perona as they used to in decks, really cutting down in a lot of them. Gecko Moria also being at 3. This Gecko, a lot of times I've seen as like 2 in some lists. This person doing 3, and then 3 Dracul Mihawks as well, to be able to fit 2 Perfume Femurs, right? 4 Teaches, 4 Jozus in this list, and even 4 Puddings. I feel like a lot of times with Pudding, we see the 2 of in decks, but I think a lot more matchups are starting to really want the Charlotte Pudding right against them, so opting for 4 in this list. Pretty traditional list, nothing really too surprising here. And so now going into the Blackbeards list, I think this is also a list that we've seen pretty much almost verbatim, like week by week in this deck. The thing that I've started to see a little bit more in Blackbeard though is 7 cost Jack. Usually not a 4 of, mostly a 2, because if you don't know, Jack is just that good of a card, right? It is a consideration for any black deck, especially one that has the cost minusing abilities with stuff like Von Augur. Some of the more impactful cards in this deck as well. Jesus Burgess, just so good, especially as the game continues on, because of you spamming that leader effect, right? Pitching your own cards really gets the power boosted through this effect, this continuous effect of gaining 1,000 power for every 4 cards in trash. Even in previous rounds, right? We didn't see it too much here, only reaching 7,000, but in a previous round, because of cards like This Is My Time, right, being able to mill 2 cards in the deck, and also milling other cards from this stage. You guys told me what this stage was in the comments. I forgot to write it down. It's not actually Honeycomb. I think it's called Full of Lead, because you guys also told me the lore of why it's named that way. So thank you again in the comments. But this stage as well, Full of Lead or Honeycomb, is really good also at being able to build your trash. Even though it bottom decks the cards that you don't get on the Rest and Search, you do have to trash a card in order to use it. So inherently, it's like every time you use it, you get +1 in the trash. It's interesting to see how these tournaments have gone as of late, right? Last weekend in Miyagi, we saw very heavy dominance of Rob Lucci. This tournament, Hokkaido, we saw Shanks and Blackbeard come in as prevalent counters and prevalent decks, really dominate in this one. And so what are we going to see next week? That's going to be the real question here for you. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, remember that we've got a giveaway for an OP09 booster box and also a 10% off coupon to my sponsor, LA Gaming TCG. So make sure to join our Discord, and it'll be in this section of the Discord. I'm showing it on screen, by the way, and I think I showed it earlier too, of where it's actually going to be. So make sure to go check out over there. It's going to run until whatever next Friday is, which is the 15th, November 15th. So make sure you join now, and I'll remind it in every single video, but don't forget to do it. And I'll see you in the next one, because I think there's a tournament this weekend, actually. Yeah, I think there's another championship tournament happening this weekend.